Previously, the group decided it would be safest to bring the ship out of its bottle underwater to avoid detection. Tarya cast water breathing on everyone, while Tornak went for a short swim. Once Yuri and Rylid were safely on shore with the rest of the group, they set out on Tarya's magical mounts. They quickly realized that the landscape was war-torn as they started traveling off the roads. They saw a village that had been completely burned out, with nothing left behind but a post full of wanted posters. One that included pictures of them among others, such as Atraxian Rhodes and a halfling named Pesh who Tarya knew. They avoided a convoy led by a red-cloaked praetor that was transporting a wagon full of herbs and a large number of prisoners. Later, they came over a rise and saw what essentially looked like a prison camp of some type, full of even more prisoners. The group knew that there wasn't anything they could do to help those people, not then and there, so they kept moving on as stealthily as they could. They stumbled across a small shrine that clearly had been put up in memory of those killed by the Empire, and Tarya realized that those were something to watch for, as they were showing a safe path to take. Eventually, though, there stopped being any path that was safe. The group stopped at the last hill before the last valley that led to Farview, which was built into the mountain itself. Tarya banished the horses she'd conjured, since they were clearly magical. There was a strong smell of decay all around them, and the valley was clearly being patrolled by praetors and soldiers as well. Tarya knew that there were two potential ways into the city thanks to Cecily's letter. They could slip in through the west side of the city, where less guards were on duty, or they could try to slip in through the sewers to the south. She suggested the sewers. As they made their way towards the south side of the city, Tarya realized that it was Heaven's Dance, a night when magic was especially strong. It was usually a night of celebration, although it clearly wasn't, considering the town was under occupation by the Empire. She and Sean also noticed that their hands were glowing slightly, just like they usually did at a cache. Rylid did a quick divination to figure out when the group should set out. They hurried towards the grating that led into the sewers, Sean increasing their stealth a little bit of magecraft. On the way, the group saw where the scent of decay was coming from. There were posts driven into the ground all around the city, each one with a dead body hung from it. There wasn't anything the group could do about the bodies, so they slipped into the sewer and continued on their way. Inside was lots of graffiti disparaging the Empire. The group moved through the sewers, eventually coming up on a group of teenagers and young adults who were essentially running an underground resistance. Tarya recognized several of the voices, and one of them was the halfling, Pesh, whose wanted poster she had seen earlier. Tarya revealed herself to him and introduced the others, and it was clear that he'd heard of them. They talked for a bit, and Pesh revealed that they were planning on blowing up the town square in the hope of taking out the leader of the praetors with the explosion. When Tharizian asked how they planned on not taking out innocents, Pesh made it clear that it would be worth it. People died daily. Killing her was the only way to stop more deaths, even if it cost some lives in the process. There was a lot of back and forth about what plan they wanted to go with, as Tarya didn't want anyone else to die. The group finally decided that they would bring in Tarya's father, along with perhaps some other people alongside him to help fight and cause a distraction. They would come through the door on the ship, which could fly. They would also blow up a building or two, but they had to figure out what location would be best for the explosion, especially since all of the explosives were under the town square for the time being. Rylid, Tharizian, Tornak, and Yuri stayed behind to talk with the rebels and try to figure out the specifics about their plan. Tarya needed to go meet with Cecily, so Sean went with her to help keep them unseen. And that is where we left off.